Whoa, wait a second, fellas. Back up. I don't want any trouble. Gun. All right, we're walking, me and my wife. We're approached at a distance of 5 yards by 2 rapscallions. Then one presents a firearm. All right, 3 shots to the right target, 2 to the left. Then moving back 7 yards and shooting at an angle. I put 3 in the left and 2 in the right. So let's go up to the targets. And I put one off, but these 3 are probably from 7 yards at an angle. These 2 were probably at 5 yards. Then we go over here. These were probably the 2 at an angle, and then these 3 most likely at 5 yards. And ignore the blue dots. That's from with another gun, was something I was doing the day before yesterday. Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. Today we're going to talk about, are you undergunned if you carry a 5-shot J-frame revolver? But before we start, let's take a quick look at the rig I used. All right, today we had a Zula pancake holster, a Smith & Wesson 640, and in an Azula pocket holster, a Smith & Wesson 642. As far as speed loaders, this is a pouch I got off eBay. It rides close to the body, and I'm shooting some of my COVID ammo that I hoarded away, but this is some old Underwood 158 grain hollow point standard pressure and some Zeta 6 speed loaders. So let's talk about the problem with using a 5-shot J-frame for self-defense. All right, are you undergunned by carrying a 5-shot Snub-nose revolver? Or do you have a false sense of confidence when you carry a gun like this? Well, you know, it's all relative. I always hear the term gunfighting. You're going to get killed in a gunfight. Okay, it's not about gunfighting. Civilian or citizen self-defense is about protecting yourself and getting you out of a bad situation. And being undergunned is very relative. Now, this is a CZ P07, and at times, the rare times that I do carry this gun, I carry it's 15-round capacity and I carry another magazine. However, could you be undergunned with this gun? Absolutely. You know, what if you were facing 2 armed robbers with pumped shotguns? I would say you're probably going to be undergunned in this case. So what we have to think about is, what is the lowest common denominator? And that's another thing. A gun like this, now it is concealable. I have concealed this. I carry bigger guns concealed. However, it's not always the most comfortable thing. It's not always the most convenient thing. Whereas a gun like this, where I can slip it in a pocket, if I have to go in a place like a college or a government building where I can't carry a firearm, all I have to do is just slip it out of my pocket and secure it in my car. You know, once again, there's a lot of convenience with a small gun like this. But being as how a 5-shot snub is your lowest common denominator, a gun to self-extricate yourself from a bad situation, let's look at the disadvantages. Well, number 1, capacity. Number 2, they're hard to reload. Now, I can reload this gun fairly rapidly if I'm not under stress. But just the stress of doing some of the drills I practice where I'm moving, I'm shooting, I'm getting behind cover, my adrenaline goes up. Something called the fight or flight syndrome kicks in. I lose some of that manual dexterity that it takes to load a gun like this quickly. So that is a very definite disadvantage. So how can I make this gun work in a self-defense situation? Well, first off, if you're going to carry this kind of gun or any kind of firearm, you need to develop basic proficiency. You need to be able to have a smooth draw and be able to get shots on target in the center of the chest. In fact, in a 2021 blog on his website, Claude Werner, who has collected a lot of statistics about different types of self-defense situations involving firearms, he made the statement that the first person to get a shot above the diaphragm was the one who was able to walk away from that fight and successfully defend themselves or someone else. But being able to get that first shot, being able to get it in the right place is what made the difference. Whether you had high capacity or low capacity. Now, another thing you can do, because these are easy to conceal and carry, you can carry 2 firearms, carry 2 snubs if the local laws allow you to do so. In fact, and I hate to say this because, I like guns like this, but it's actually easier to carry 2 snubs about my person than one larger frame, revolver or pistol. So maybe you could carry two handguns, 2 snubs. And this would come into play like in our scenario where you had multiple offenders. But what if you only had one? Here's the thing. All right, 1 to 2 shots per attacker, violent predator, and then leave 1 shot in the cylinder to cover a retreat. And if you were to have to reload, get behind cover. But the whole idea is to be able to retreat, to get out of that situation. Now, what if you had somebody who was psychotic, who was high on drugs, alcohol, or a combination thereof, or was impervious to pain and very determined to attack you? Okay, in that case, I recommend, and I recommend this for anybody, whatever gun you carry, Mozambique drill, 2 to the body, 1 to affect the central nervous system, because that's the only thing that produces an immediate cessation of the attack. So these are just some things that you could train with and could do to be able to hedge your bets with any firearm. So now, what gun you carry for self-protection depends on 3 factors. Number 1, are you proficient with that gun? Number 2, is this a gun that you're going to carry with you on a daily basis and not a gun that you might be tempted to leave at home sometimes? And last but not least, what's the crime like in the area you live? And I had a gentleman talking about Dracos and Glock switches and having to face those when I did the video about it being okay to carry a J-frame revolver. And I really wanted to reply back to him, what kind of neighborhood do you live in? And what kind of business are you in that you have to worry about firearms like that? But for most ordinary folks, we don't have to, we're not living in high crime areas. We may have crime, but not like, say, in the middle of an urban area. So you have to look at it from that aspect. What types of things might I come in contact with in my day-to-day life? So based on those 3 criteria, that's how you decide what firearm is appropriate for you to carry on a daily basis. And it doesn't mean that you don't ever carry a gun like this, because like I said, sometimes I do. So anyway, tell me your opinion on what I've just laid out. And this is Greg with Lionquest Fitness.